Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Crime Centric. This being a show it's about crime dramas that I watch. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the series finale of Your Honor. Great series finale. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So first and foremost, I wasn't sure how this series finale was going to play out. All the things that were going to go down. There were quite a lot of interesting twists, turns, and developments. The biggest thing I had going into this finale is I wanted to believe Michael was going to do the right thing, but it was still unclear because you could tell his conscience was eating at him. But if he was on the stand, because he is someone he has a very complicated feeling of yes, he does believe in justice, but the thing is, it's also hypocritical to believe in justice considering I did everything I could to undermine it for the sole purposes of protecting my son. And it's he'd been a judge and he'd believed in justice for so many years, but obviously the moment your family gets involved, of course you're going to you're going to skew the justice system to fit your needs. But obviously he ends up getting subpoenaed, and Elizabeth's like, you don't have to do this. It's yeah, but Michael knows, right, he wasn't aiming for Adam. He was aiming for Carlo. And it's once again, at the heart of all of this, Michael has said it time and time again. It's if I had not done what I did, then maybe none of this would have happened. So much pain could have been averted if I hadn't made the self-decision, because his decision to make Adam not confess to what he did, obviously we know, Jimmy made him feel guilty about it by being I wouldn't have killed Adam. But he told Frankie straight up, I would have found a kid, I would have strangled him myself. So it's yeah, Adam would have died regardless, but you would have done the right thing, and there wouldn't have been so much casualty and destruction, especially when it comes to the Jones family. So a lot of that is going into this. So when they do go to the courtroom, I was all right, is he going to lie? Is he going to tell the truth? Ultimately, he does tell the truth, which is complicated for Lee because first and foremost, she's limited in what she can actually ask him. Basically, they're forcing her hand so that she can only talk about the night of, can't draw in any of all the stuff that Michael's connected to because that will bring into question a lot of stuff about this. So, but she asks a question which leads to Michael telling the truth, and it starts with it's right, he came to my courtroom getting money to sell me a baseball. The baseball is the one he got from Kofi, which was inside my car, which is the one that Adam used to kill Rocco. Kofi stole the car after Adam had hit Rocco and confessed all that. And obviously it broke Thea's heart. That was my biggest thing too, is Thea going to find out the truth and having to hear it from Michael's own mouth, which obviously for her, it's she wanted to believe in him. It was her, especially because of what Michael represented. Michael was her escape from her family, but it's wait, not only did I find out that you knew who killed my brother, there's that, you knew it was Adam, and this entire time you've lied to me. It's well, how can, it's a rough, I'm not saying it's excusable, but it's right, you loved Adam. How do I tell you the person you love is actually the one who killed your brother, the person you had a child with? What can I do in that regard? Because even Lee asked a hard question, do you think your son deserved to die? He's no. If anything, Michael believes I'm the one that deserves to die. My son made a mistake. He should have gone to prison. I wanted him to initially, but I let my fear get the best of me, and I tried to protect my son. And I did terrible things. And at the end of the day, it meant nothing because he ended up dying anyway. And it's and along with him dying, there was so many ramifications then and now because of my choices, because of my actions. So, but yeah, so, Thea has every right to be disgusted because it's right, you knew. Now, Elizabeth didn't know, and even Michael explains to her later on, it's right, everything I did terrible things. I broke the law. I covered up crimes. I made evidence disappear. And she's it was for the sake of protecting your son, right? And Michael was yeah. And she's then that's all you need to say to me. I'm, as a mother who lost her child, of course, she's going to be sympathetic of, you're a parent. We know what it's like to be parents wanting to protect our child no matter what. And for her, it's obviously she loved Adam as her grandchild. And it's I'm not gonna agree with everything you did, but I understand, And obviously I'm sure on some level maybe Thea does too, but it still doesn't take away the fact is of because once again, it also changes everything in her relationship with Adam too, because it's right, the guy who killed my brother got close to me, because even everyone else knew how morbid that was. Anyone who watched the show was you're getting close to the sister of the guy you killed? And even obviously Michael wasn't too happy about that. None of them were too happy about that. Even the Baxters when they found out about what he did, but still. When they found out what Adam did and the fact that he got close to Fia. So Fia ended up returning to her family, being like, oh, I can't believe I turned to Michael and Adam were both liars. And so she turned to her family, not realizing, oh, they're the biggest fucking liars too. Because it's like, yeah, it's only a matter of time before the truth comes out. So despite all that Michael was able to do, it wasn't enough to fully turn everything in Eugene's favor, because even the prosecutor's like, dude, at the end of the day, Eugene still shot Adam. He still killed Adam. And it's like, regardless of Michael's circumstances, you might be able to throw it in. It still doesn't take away the fact is he saw Eugene and everything, but still. Then you also have some other subplot things going on. You've got Big Mo making a deal with Jimmy, or trying to make a deal with Jimmy, where she's like, right, you're in the doghouse with the missus. All right, I'm going to sell you the club, because the club means nothing now, because it's like, now that her and her girlfriend have broken up, it's like, right, that was my main reason for getting that club. And I think a lot of what happened with Chris did make her go like, right, I have been blindsided. I did kind of like love getting it. It's like, right, eventually I am going to give this up, and I'm assuming it's going to be Little Mo's shot to run things. But it's like, for now, I'm going to keep running things, and I have 100% focus, and I don't need this club. Like, I got it. I went through all this trouble for it, and it literally cost her everything because of that. But it's like, right, here, you could give it to your wife. She wants me going, so boom, boom, it's a win-win. I just need your blessings for me to kind of do whatever I want to in my section, and I kind of don't bump heads with you. We just keep it a mutual thing, and you do your thing, I do mine. No interference with each other. But he says no. To be fair, him and Gina are in a good place. He's also not the biggest fan of Desire, considering everything that's going down with the Eugene situation. Plus, obviously, Gina and her dad are talking smack about Jimmy. I'm like, oh, did Jimmy not, because they're like, oh, he blew up the deal. It's like, did Jimmy not tell them that cops were involved? But maybe they're like, if Jimmy, well, that, you know, that the authorities are watching, that assistant U.S. attorney is like paying attention to this. But maybe even if they did know that part of it, it's like, oh, it's still Jimmy's fault. They're both gunning for Jimmy, because Gina's like, I should be the one running a Conti family business. You should have never given it to Jimmy. But, you know, it's very old fashioned tradition thing of like, yo, men have to run, you know, it's like run things. It's kind of that very like antiquated position, because she's like, right, I'm the one that like, basically she kind of runs things anyway. She's even, once again, like Jimmy's a little more soft hearted. Yes, he can go full gangster when he wants to. He tries to hide what he is, but yeah. Cause hell, I'm sure she was more so making a wisecrack about, because he's in a doghouse, staying at a hotel ain't, you know, really fitting for Jimmy. I thought she was more so saying, because you in that gangster shit, you in this hotel, like, ain't really befitting of you, like, trying to do, like, the more legitimate business person, knowing, like, oh, I know you for the gangster you really are. But, yeah. Gina's father won't hand the reins over to her. In fact, he's going to run things until Carlo's old enough to inherit everything. And you're like, oh, interesting. Then she hears about Jimmy not giving her that club that she wants. It's like, to be fair, you kicked him to the curb. You said you don't love him anymore, that you'll never forgive him. I'm like, I don't know why you want, especially because he started jumping down her throat later on, because it turns out during the trial, like, Lee's kind of backed into a corner, because obviously, you know, Eugene wanted to testify, and obviously they have to keep running keep it on the lanes of the gas leak was an accident, because everything's been, the police investigated, which the police are, a lot of them, not all of them, but a good chunk of them are under Baxter's thumb, but it's like, you can't really bring any of that up. But Michael actually helped out, like, because he doesn't want Eugene to suffer for something that he knows this is all on me. So he points Lee to, like, the testimony from when his mom was in court. And I even love that powerful moment from Eugene when he was like, they had names. And excuse me, what did you say, Eugene? And for him, it's like, everyone keeps saying a mother, and it was like, my mom had a name, Famale. I had siblings, and like, they had names. Like, people just kind of like, just keep it as a blank statement. It's like, no, don't forget, you want to just use mother and children. It's like, no, they were people, they had names, they mattered. So always remember that. So I thought that was a powerful moment, but because of what Michael did, it made Eugene have to go back through his testimony. And then it's like, yeah, why'd you only eat pickle juice and all this? It's like, yeah, because we couldn't cook anything. And then that moment, Eugene was like, because we didn't have no gas. It's like, oh, how is a house going to explode from a gas leak when there's no gas? Because it turns out they were weeks behind on the gas bill. So like their gas was off. So at that time, the house exploded. There's no way that, so now it brings the whole thing into question of like, yeah. And Nancy actually working with, God, what is, I was blanking on Rosie Perez's character. I was even blanking on Rosie Perez's name for a second. I wanted to say Renee Montoya because she played Renee Montoya in Birds of Prey and a Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. The fact of the matter is, yeah, but I think her character's name is Olivia. I think so, right? It's something like that. Either way, I was just blanking on that. Tangents and all that aside, her and Nancy are kind of working together, and they helped find out and look into the investigation. The cop who investigated the house explosion works for the Baxters, and they're willing, and Olivia's trying to hook Eugene up with a deal that basically he'll get, as long as he can testify against the Baxters, then he'll get, protection. But it's like, well, I can't, he never saw the Baxters do it, so there's nothing he can really testify to. And Olivia's like, well, I guess I can never call him to the stand. And it's like, but why are you going so above and beyond for him? It's like, I think for Olivia, the whole thing is like, she came to this town, like, yeah, she kind of went about it forceful ways with Michael, but ultimately her plan was take down some very bad people. And at the end of the day, she can do some good. It's like, hey, this kid is being screwed over by the same people I'm trying to take down. Then that doesn't matter. I'm going to I'm going to help him out the best I can. Cause she also knows like, hey, I was banished here. So who's to say like, because I'm screwing the pooch on this whole Baxter thing here, I'm probably going to end up getting sent to New Hampshire or something like that. And Nancy kind of cracked jokes about it, but yeah, she wants to do at least one good thing with this whole New Orleans situation before they potentially relocate her. But because all that came out in the courtroom, which once again, Jimmy threw that in, she's like, he's like, well, what do you want me to do? And she's like, she kind of put it on him. He's like, excuse me, whose idea was it? The one that was like, oh, we need to go hard, or we need to hit them once big time. You're the one that wanted to like handle the Jones family the way it is. And like, obviously Fia is not happy about all this. It's like, you killed an innocent mother and her 3 children. You disgust me, this entire family. And then it's also like, did you know about Adam? And they did. So she turns to like her priest, because he's legitimately known the person she can turn to. Like Elizabeth is there, but it's just all a reminder of like Adam, and definitely can't trust Michael now. So that relationship squandered. I think she still does have like Adam's scholarship, and it's not like Michael was going to take that back. He still wants her to use it, and maybe she still can use it, because for her, it's like, man, like, because the priest had asked her, like, do you think you can have it in your heart to forgive? And she's like, my family, no. Adam, she's like, I think I already forgave him. She's like, I'm mad at him for everything, for lying to me and also being responsible for my brother's death. But at the end of the day, I truly do believe he loved me. And for her, it's like, she's just trying to figure everything out. Because she's like, I don't know if, like, is it right that I'm coming into, like, religion, like, believing in, like, a heaven or, believing in heaven and stuff, because I know that the devil has to exist because there's evil like my family. And even the priest been like, I can't quite give you the answers. But he also says, like, he does believe there is a heaven. If there is one, your brother's there. She's like, I need to believe that. I have to believe that those we've lost aren't completely gone. And I'm sure Adam needed to believe that. I know Michael needed to believe that when it comes to both Adam and Robin, and I'm sure Elizabeth is in that same boat. So, and once again, it is that complicated thing with Gina, where it's like, oh yeah, you want to be the religious person, but you're also like, once again, like god awful human being too. So it's like, once again, it's like, oh, like such a hardcore gangster, like her, old school type of gangster too, considering like her family being the old school mafiosos that they are, that she believes in, like, once again, it's always seemed hypocritical for her, and that's why Fia was kind of like, you're kind of a shitty person. Now that's before she found out like how shitty her family is, but it's also like, yeah, they even replayed it in the intro. She was like, right, if I find out that you lied to me, you'll never see me again. And she kept true to that word. I was surprised, though, when it was all said and done, what Fia did. She gave Rocco up for adoption. 100% makes sense. I don't think her parents can do anything, because I don't know they're legally labeled as guardians. Carlo was the godfather, but I don't think that gives him any legality, because as the biological mother, she has all the rights. So she's able to give Rocco away without them trying to get custody back, especially with everything the Baxters are probably going to be dealing with in the coming future and stuff. So that'll probably hinder any getting Rocco. But I understand why Fia probably couldn't keep him either, because he's just a reminder of, I mean, literally got the name of your dead brother. I mean, that's one thing. His middle name is the name of your boyfriend, your baby daddy, who's also the person who killed your brother, and he also has your family's last name. So, I mean, Michael's older, so he couldn't really be, and I don't know. I mean, probably Elizabeth and Michael probably have maybe some heads up about that, so I don't know, like maybe they can like visit Rocco and and they also probably aren't going to fight Fia on it, because I mean, I don't know, not unless she did all that behind everyone's back, but I'm assuming she probably gave them some heads up, because regardless of how she feels about Michael, Elizabeth at least shouldn't be able to know where her grandson is. But it's also like, right, Michael's not really in a position to be taking care, like raising a baby and stuff like that. Even if he has Elizabeth's help, it's like, yeah, we're both older and everything, so maybe that's the justification. Or like I said, maybe Fia straight up didn't tell them, but we see her leave, and it's like, right, she's leaving just at the same time, jumping ahead a little bit, where because of what Olivia was able to hook up, now Eugene's able to start over, but he can never use his name anymore. Because for him, it's like, I mean, he was even saying like, oh, can I go back to Houston? I mean, he was starting to build a life there with Big Mo's sister, but it's like, no, you can't go back there where anyone will potentially know to look for you. You have to disappear. You can no longer be Eugene Jones, even though for him, it's like, that's the last thing I have left of my family is my name. But, Olivia's like, when it's all said and done, when you hear the name Eugene, there's always going to be a part of you that feels alive and also dead again when you hear it. But at the end of the day, kind of, it always comes back. Once again, I talk about this all the time, especially I brought it up recently. I can't remember what the context was. But Black Panther T'Challa in the What If. And once again, because those were recorded with Chadwick, it holds even more weight here in the character say the lines of, though people are gone, they're never truly gone as long as people are here to remember them. So that beautiful mentality of like, you carry your family with you wherever you go, especially with their memory too. So because once again, you made everyone in that court remember, it isn't just a mother and her children. You reminded them that they had names. So I think that all kind of comes beautifully. But once again, like, Eugene's leaving, starting a new life. It's not an easy thing. It's not like he walked away without any scars. Same thing for Fia. Like, everything was just completely fucked by the end. But still, she made a hard decision letting Rocco go, and you never know what the future of her story could be. Maybe she could circle back around and be in his life in some shape or form later on, but it's like, at the very least, putting him in the hands of a good family, because it's like, can't put him in Michael's hands. Michael's hands are tainted. Definitely can't put him in my family's hands, because they're sure as hell tainted, so... I think that's also why, like, because of the backstories of it all, I think that is why Nancy was like, I'm here to protect you. Because he was like, oh, are you here to arrest me? She's like, no, I'm here to protect you. Because she knows, like, yeah, the Baxters might come gutting for you. Because they did want it, like, everyone, including Gina's dad, wanted to go after Michael. Because it's like, yeah, Michael only implicated himself. But it's like, he does have enough that he could, implicate Jimmy and the family. But it's like, yeah, let's kind of leave him alone for now. As long as he's just implicating us. Because obviously, Michael doesn't want that smoke, but it's also something Olivia said where she was like, oh yeah, like, bad guys will always like mess up. I think it might have been even Nancy that was like, yeah, bad guys will get them because at the end of the day, they will screw up again. So, which the Baxter family, that's some twists I wasn't expecting. All right, first and foremost, the fact is Gina set that up so beautifully of, oh my God, Dad, he's going to throw me under the bus. He's going to testify to the police against me. Sends her dad to go after Jimmy. So she gets to keep her hands clean. Her dad attempts to shoot Jimmy. Then she calls the police on her dad, gets him arrested. Because the moment I was like, oh wow, you got Jimmy out of the way. But then she called the police. I was like, oh, of course you're going to do that. Because now you get to remove both of the stubborn men in your life that you hate. Because they both stop you from the greatness that you could arise to be. So it's like, cool. Now that Jimmy's dead, we find out later on kind of just in a coma, still alive. But now that her father's out of the picture, she runs everything. Then on top of that, she made the deal with Big Mo. And it's like, this is a beautiful start of a beautiful relationship for us. Cause I love when she had talked to Gina, she turned to Lil Mo and she was like, I'm playing the long game. So what that means in the grand scheme of things, I don't know. Maybe put herself in a favorable position so that later on she can screw Gina over, or is it just kind of like, yeah, I'm gonna let you have this, it's fine, because in the end, like, I know you're gonna like your rise to power won't be long. Because once again, I don't know if Jimmy told them about the fact of the matter is the U.S. attorney and stuff was looking into it. I mean, we even see in the episode, Olivia went to visit Gina's dad. So it's like, hey, your daughter screwed you over. What? You could get a little payback. So that rise of power might not last as long as she was hoping it would. Carlos feeling himself. I'm sure he's kind of, it sucks because he always loves his dad. He always wants his dad's respect and attention. But he probably never felt like he was ever going to have his day to shine. With his mom, it's like, once again, you're mine. And the fact of the matter is, never forget that. So he's feeling himself. So, but I don't know if he knows, like, oh, mom set that all up. Probably doesn't know, but I don't know. Obviously, it's a different situation. Like, she loved Jimmy at one point in time, but she hates his guts. You're her son. That's always going to put you above Jimmy. So she'll never do some foul stuff like that to you. But who knows how that's all going to play out. So. But Big Mo is able to kind of... I was, once again, seeing where the Baxters had their shake-up. Desire kind of had its shake-up, but it's basically back to... status quo. So... changes on that front, but I'm sure this whole experience changed some things between her and Momo, but it seemed like they're good for now, so we have no idea. I am curious because Olivia had asked Lee what was she going to do now, and maybe they're going to work together to take down the Baxters. Kind of, they were able to help out Eugene, and maybe Lee's going to be... I think that might have been Lee at the end of the episode with Michael, but it might not have been. I don't think it was Nancy. I think her hair looked curly, and I think it was Lee. So, but, and that look on Elizabeth's face, she had that sad look on her face. I was like, what's Michael going to do? Seems like he turns himself in. It's like, nah, I to make this all right, I have to pay for my crimes. I even love that moment they had in court that it's like, it's so little was said, but admit there was so much weight behind both of them where it's like, obviously for Eugene, it's like, I'm Judge Desiato, I'm sorry about Adam. And then Michael saying, I'm sorry too. Because it's like, yeah, because of my choice to protect my son, it lost you your brother, and it all trickled down to eventually losing your family. Like, the fact of the matter is, it's a terrible situation all around, and it's like, I think Eugene kind of forgives him for it, because he's like, I get it. You're trying to protect your family. I wanted to do the same thing, and I get that, so... But I think it's just Michael wanted to, like, hey, I need to pay for what I've done. And it's like, this is the least I can do for all that I've done. So I think he probably turned himself back in. I mean, because Olivia had kind of basically scrapped his confession and everything he had confessed to. So, but I guess now that he did it in open court, it kind of brought that back up. So now he turns himself back in for what he did. I guess Olivia was able to kind of bring that, like, nah, let's resurface it. I'm curious how much of they kept in there, because obviously he confessed about a lot of the Baxter stuff, which that could be what Olivia is using to get to, Gina's dad, and kind of also using that leverage to kind of go after the Baxters, which Jimmy's not dead. He's waking up. That's going to be a whole other can of worms. We're not done on that front. This whole Charlie thing, it's like, well, everything kind of imploded, and I don't know how much of this is... Because it still could be set up like, oh, this could still all fall back on Charlie, in the grand scheme of things, Not necessarily the Rudy of it all and stuff like that and Robin's death, but more so like, this could end up hanging heavy on... I'm curious... Well, once again, he didn't put the hit out on Robin, but the cop he pointed in Robin's direction for the corruption, like she was looking into for corrupt cops, that ended up getting her killed, and he never thought to connect the dots that maybe there was something there. So it's not on him directly, and, so that's why I'm like, maybe that's why Michael also didn't want to say anything, but it also completely changed them, their friendship and brotherhood, so... It's a series finale where you're just like, there's still so much story that could potentially be told, but I think they've told the story they needed to tell. Once again, I don't know if it's fully like we told this story because Showtime only gave us a final season, or we tell Showtime we only needed one more season. Because the show this is based on Cavado, it's... I think I did it for my nerd mode. I believe the show's title, Your Honor, is Kavado. Like that's Kavado, and it's Hebrew for your honor, I believe. I think I left that. I think that was an annotation in my video, if I'm my nerd mode for your honor. But either way, but I think it's like, right, this is kind of circled around Michael and Adam's situation, and this is the closing of that story. So all that other stuff is happening out here in the universe, but you can fill it in yourself, thinking about what it might all turn out to be. But this story, this chapter at the very least is closed, or the story that we're partaking in. Everything else is stuff that you have to leave it up to your imagination to fill. And I like that, because it's like, right, it's just, this is a small story, a part of something bigger that's strung out from these events. So still, I think a really nice way to wrap it up. Like I said, quite a few surprises kind of thrown in there to kind of throw you some curveballs. But yeah, I thought that was pretty dope. It's not the happy ending you fully thought it was being. And of course, it was never going to be a happy ending. I feel better about this ending than season 1's ending, when we thought it was like, oh, it's a limited series, so it's a one and done. But now it's like, no, I like this ending better. I mean, it doesn't completely absolve everything, but it's a ending you could feel better about, you know? So that's, you know, because of Eugene, you know, I think he'll get justice in its entirety soon enough. I think the Baxters are going to super get their comeuppance. It's only a matter of time. And now it's like his name was kind of like, he's able to kind of live his life, you know? And so I think that it doesn't fully exonerate Michael from everything, but I think he can go like, right, at least that kid who I helped destroy his life, he gets to live his life. And I got to pay for my crimes for what I've done. There has to be some form of fairness and balance in all of this. So once again, Fia kind of going off to live her life. I think we get our trio of Nancy, Olivia, and Lee working together, especially to take down the Baxter. So, but yeah, that's kind of really all I want to talk about. Once again, when it comes to these series finale type of situations, I'm always, you know, sad to see something come to an end, but I'm always happy when it's able to kind of like stick a really powerful landing. I'm curious how most people feel about this series finale. We'll see. And I'm also curious like how it stacks up to the original series Cavado. Like is it a 1-for-1, or did they make massive changes? Either way, to all those involved with, you know, bringing us kind of like this version of the story, because I don't know the Cavado story. I'll probably check that out at some point in time just to compare and contrast. But yeah. To everyone involved in this series, in front of the camera, behind the camera, thank you for bringing us this wild crime drama and like some amazing twists and turns. And I'm always a fan of those stories of like, how far are you willing to go type of things. So this was an incredible story. And like I said, I don't know how it fully compares and contrasts to its original counterpart, but yeah, I'll probably find out about that more in the future. But yeah. To everyone involved in the series, once again, in front and behind the cameras, I wish them the best in their future endeavors. But yeah, that's, I think, all I needed to say. So, to the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and goodbye.